Timm is a 12-year-old boy with a special, infectious laughter. His mother is dead, and he lives with his father, Hans, a construction worker. But this life takes a different direction when Baron, a rich and unhappy businessman, purchases his smile in exchange for his soul. Timm is struggling in making the right choices between the riches and joy in life. Timm is at a crossroad, and he has to decide whether to choose wealth over happiness. As a photographer takes a photo of Timm and his schoolmates, Timm laughs loudly, making others laugh.
Blöd zu lachen.
Timm lives with his father, Hans Thaler, in the poor streets on the other side of the town. His father takes him to see a horse racing competition among the locals, where people bet and the winner takes the money home. Baron, the wealthiest businessman, is also at the show, but despite having a lot of money, he lacks happiness. He notices Timm's special smile and ability to influence other people to laugh and plans to take action. After enjoying their time at the horse racing competition, Timm's father takes him home. Timm would like to board a taxi, but because they are poor, they have to walk. On their way home, they pass by the Grand Hotel, where Timm's father used to work as the boss. He promises Timm he will buy him some roasted chicken when they get money, and then he will head home. Timm's father realizes his son is always lonely and stays home alone. Therefore, he decides to marry another wife, Lydia. However, Lydia already has a son, Irvin. As his father introduces him to the new family members, he urges Timm to consider Irvin as his elder brother moving forward. Ida is Timm's friend, whom he has known since childhood, and she's the only one who makes him happy. Within the first few days of living with the stepmother, Timm isn't getting along with Irvin. Irvin doesn't seem to respect him. At some point, Irvin smashes Timm's castle toy into pieces and punches him in the face. In response, Timm abuses him with disrespectful words. Unlike Timm, Irvin has been raised differently and is very sensitive. Therefore, Lydia forces Timm to apologize to Irvin, but Timm doesn't see the need to apologize when he's the one being bullied. As Timm's father comes home in the evening from work, Lydia starts complaining.
Wir schauen uns nie ein Rennen.
She's working 10 hours every day without resting, and life is becoming hard. They can hardly make a living enough to sustain themselves. She's also concerned about Hans taking Timm to watch the races, because this drains them financially. Nevertheless, Hans quit gambling and is no longer betting on horse racing games. During their free time, Hans takes Timm to witness the horse racing competition, but he decides to try betting and see if he might be lucky to get some extra money. He needs to fulfill his promise of taking his son to the Grand Hotel and buying him roasted chicken, but he has no money. Fortunately, he wins the bet and gets some extra coins. As they go home, they accidentally bump into Baron, but they don't know him. Baron has a habit of wearing dark glasses, so Hans thinks he's blind. In fact, Hans tells Baron to watch out for the way he walks on the road. Happy to get an extra coin, he takes Timm to the Grand Hotel. Unknown to him, the Grand Hotel is reserved for the rich. The staff at the hotel is rude to Hans and doesn't allow them to get inside, even though they have money to pay for the meal. In a society where the rich are favored, poor people like Hans have no right to enjoy the luxury of dining at such hotels. Without saying a word, Hans turns around and returns home disappointed. Timm is living happily but doesn't realize it. He thinks true happiness comes from wealth and material possessions, but that's not the case. In the same society, rich people like Baron travel in cars.
Und was sagt der eine Bums zum anderen? Was denn?
And live in luxury, but aren't happy at all. This is when Timm starts facing the most difficult challenges in life. His father dies from a fall at a construction site. His happy life and moments with his dad are cut short, and he becomes a total orphan. Left with no choice, he has to live with his stepmother.
Baustelle. Direkt herunterfiel.
During his father's burial, Timm is disappointed because they can hardly afford money to engrave his father's name on the tombstone. He feels sad because all other tombstones around the cemetery have names engraved on them with flowers. Some have statues around them. For the sake of his father's love, Timm takes some flowers from the neighboring tombstone and decides to put them on his father's tombstone. Lydia yells at Timm, telling him to return the flowers to the other tombstone because they're so expensive. expensive and they can't afford it. This pains him a lot, and he runs home while crying. Poverty has pushed them beyond limits, and there's no one to help. The rich exploit the poor for personal benefits, with inequalities in the law. The next time Timm goes to watch horse racing competitions, he encounters Baron. Baron gives him a piece of paper with a legal agreement, allowing him to bet. But the problem is that Timm doesn't even have a penny in his pocket.
Pass doch auf!
Using dark magic, Baron makes Timm brush on someone's shoulder as he walks in the crowd. When Timm looks down, he sees a coin and immediately pockets it. Baron tells him to bet, but Timm refuses because Baron is a stranger. Baron tells Timm he knows him and has known his father for a long time before he died. Though in doubt, Baron convinces him to bet, even though he's below the legal age of gambling.
So ein komischer Füller.
Das ist ein modernes Schreibgerät.
He produces a signed legal document and hands it over to Timm, then tells him to bet specifically for Westwind, one of the horse riders. Since he needs money, Timm joins the queue, gambles, and gets more money than his father has ever made. Although he has lots of money, Timm starts shedding tears. Timm misses the moments he has been spending with his father. He now realizes that true happiness comes from sharing experiences rather than from material possessions.
Ja, nimm. Mehr wird's nicht.
But just before he leaves the horse racing venue, Belial, a woman from Baron's workforce, approaches him. She asks whether he's looking for his parents and tells him the place is full of thieves. Belial pretends to help by telling Timm to keep his money well and avoid carrying it in his hands in public. Shortly after, Behemoth, Baron's male workman, also approaches Timm. Belial and Behemoth sit at the table with Timm and take out a piece of paper to keep his money in. Something goes wrong when Behemoth takes the money, wraps it in a piece of cloth, and puts it inside his pocket. When Timm tells him to give him back the money, he takes out another similar piece of cloth with something resembling money wrapped in it. Timm is still young, so he doesn't even realize it. As he walks home, Baron approaches him and tells Timm he has lost all his money. Timm tells Baron he still has the money and takes out the piece of cloth handed over to him by Behemoth. This is when he realizes Behemoth has stolen his money
Sei pünktlich.
and given him pieces of paper wrapped in a piece of cloth. At this point, Timm doesn't understand why Baron is following him and trying to help. His intentions remain unclear. Baron tells Timm not to worry about losing the money and hands him another coin to bet. He tells Timm the exact time the next horse racing competition will take place, and Timm agrees to be present and gamble to win more money.
Sind Sie eigentlich ein Albino?
He can't sleep at night, and every time he closes his eyes, he remembers how he lost money. Now he has another chance that can change his financial life forever, and he can't afford to lose it. The following day, Timm becomes so rude to his stepmother that he decides to go gambling instead of helping her with household chores. He rushes to the gambling site a few hours before time, just to not miss the opportunity. He waits until he falls asleep on the waiting bench. People start celebrating the horse racing competitions until the booth is almost closing. Baron finds Timm asleep, wakes him up, and tells him he only has 4 minutes to participate. In fact, Timm is not good at making money, so Baron decides to go away. Again, another opportunity is gone. He regrets it and decides to go back home, disappointed in himself. But just before he leaves, Baron turns back and gives him one last chance. Baron tells Timm he can bet and instantly make 677 coins just from the 5 coins.
Ich überfall den Senator Stassen.
While this sounds unrealistic and impossible, Baroon tells him this works. Hearing of the money, he decides to give it the last attempt. However, there's a condition. Nothing good comes free, so he has to pay for it. Baron takes out a contract on a piece of paper and tells Timm to sell him his smile. Then he will never lose any bet in his entire life. But Timm is just a child and can't consent to legal issues.
Sieh nur, der Schalter schließt gleich.
He requests Baron to give him some time and takes take it to his stepmother to sign the agreement. Baron knows he's running out of time and quickly hands over the pen to Timm. The pen looks unrealistic and uses red ink, and Timm has never seen this kind of pen before, even at school. He's reluctant to sign because he doesn't understand the contract's terms. According to the contract, Timm will still win even if he bets on a different horse. Timm sells his laughter to Baron. In exchange, he wins every bet.
Zu sein.
Should Timm ever lose, he gets his laughter back. He may tell no one about this contract, and if he does, he loses the ability to win bets without getting his laughter back. Lured by Baron's bad intentions and the desire to become a winner in getting more money, Timm signs the contract. Immediately after he signs the contract, Timm feels a strange tingling sensation in his jaws, and his happy, smiling face turns into a sad one. Something has gone wrong, but he doesn't understand what he has done. Consequently, Baron's sad face turns into a happy, smiling face. Baron walks away and Timm bets, which gives him more money. As Timm returns home, he comes back with lots of money. Lydia, his stepmother, asks where he gets these large amounts of money, and he jokes about it, saying he has robbed the senator. He even wants to help his stepmother pay the bills, but she refuses, thinking it's from his savings. Without knowing what to do with the money, he takes Ida to the movies. Everyone laughs while watching the movie, but Timm isn't laughing anymore.
Du klingst so belegt. Bist du erkältet?
His stepmother suspects he has a cold. His voice has started changing, and the consequences of selling his laughter are more than he thought. It's not just his laughter. He has sold his beautiful voice to the devil. Even more, his soul now belongs to the evil man in town, who happens to have demonic characteristics. Timm attempts to laugh, but his voice is hoarse. After the movies, he buys Ida some balloons, but doesn't want to talk to her. Ida becomes curious after noticing some drastic changes in her friend. Timm is becoming rude and cruel to his family and friends. When she asks him how he got the money, Timm says he robbed the senator. He's afraid to speak the truth because he will lose all his bets and never get the smile back. Ida hears Timm's voice and runs away from him. Rumors of Timm's robbery of the senator spread throughout the street, running their family's name. His stepmother is concerned because the bad reputation also affects her work.
Diese Nachbarin ist wiederum ihre Nachbarinnen.
And she's losing respect from her colleagues. Baron returns to his evil organization and, using dark demonic power, appoints Behemoth and Belial to watch over Timm. He needs to track Timm and ensure he never shares out the secret. However, Timm easily recognizes Belial and Behemoth because he remembers that they stole his money. To disguise them, Baron turns them into hamsters. He also infects other people with laughter, making him realize the true meaning of happiness in life. On the other hand, Timm's rumors escalate, and neighbors call the police to arrest him. Lydia complains and claims no one can arrest his stepson without evidence. Timm opens up and tells the police officer he has been getting his money from gambling, and he even has receipts to prove it. The police officer walks away, but Lydia fears what may happen next. After all she needs is money. She even uses some of the money to buy some extra pants for Irvin. Despite every warning she sees in Timm's behavior and negative changes, she ignores them and tells him to become a good boy.
Frau Thaler?
However, she just doesn't understand how someone can become lucky all the time, predicting wins and never losing a single game. Actually, she tells Timm no one can become rich through gambling. Timm uses his special betting abilities to gamble with other students in school, winning all the marble games in exchange for money. Nevertheless, he loses part of his soul in every bet he makes. Although Timm has started feeling great on the outside, he's lonely and hopeless on the inside. He gains fame, and everyone in town knows him as the best, but he doesn't find peace and joy in doing all this. At some point, some of his own schoolmates start avoiding him. No one wants to sit next to Timm. His voice increasingly worsens as days go by, so he can't even sing well in the school's choir. Baron turns back Behemoth into his human form, summoning him to report how Timm is doing.
Getan.
Aber das...
He tells Behemoth to make him laugh, but Behemoth's jokes can barely make Baron laugh. He threatens to ground Behemoth for 1,000 years if he fails to provide an update of what's going on, then turns him back into a hamster. Lydia takes Timm to the horse racing spot to prove to him that no one can always become lucky all the time. She tells Timm to predict the winner of the first racing round, and he gets it right, earning more money for herself. Before leaving, Lydia turns back and uses Timm's ability to predict the bet, where she gets even more money. She takes advantage of Timm and uses him to put all the gambling money into the final round. She also starts becoming greedy for material possessions. She doesn't get satisfaction from the money she gets. Timm predicts the winner of the last horse racing competition, but everyone knows that his prediction will fail. His player finishes in the 4th position, and Lydia loses all the money in the bet. But because he's using Baron's demonic abilities to predict the winner, the first 3 candidates are automatically disqualified without any valid reason, and the 4th candidate becomes the winner.
Der weiß, was tut.
Lydia and Irvin are happily celebrating the money they have won, but Timm doesn't care. He heads to the last spot his father had promised to take him before he died, the Grand Hotel. This time, everyone welcomes him because he has become famous and gained recognition. Kreshimir, one of the hotel workers, welcomes him and offers him a free drink. Although Timm doesn't drink, he's only 12 years old. Kreshimir is interested in knowing how Timm always predicts all matches correctly. He wants to know his secret. However, Timm has a different reason for going to the hotel. He's searching for the true meaning of life and trying to be happy, so he needs a job. Kreshimir tells him he's too young and still in school, so there's no way he will work at the Grand Hotel. Shortly after, the hotel's matron arrives and tells Kreshimir that the boy who operates the lift is not available. The hotel's matron hires Timm to operate the lift. Timm doesn't see the need to go home or to school because no one misses him. Once he gets the job, he leaves a note telling his stepmom that he won't return. Ida tries stopping him, but he doesn't care about her anymore. He leaves her disappointed and crying. As Ida returns to the house, she finds Baron sitting in the chair. He pretends to be remorseful for Ida's loss and tries to help her. Using his manipulative abilities, Baron hypnotizes everyone in the room and gets a nice chance to talk to Ida. Realizing that Ida has clubbed feet, he tells Ida that Timm has left her because he prefers other girls who have more beautiful feet. Baron also tells Ida how he once had clubbed feet but managed to heal himself. Ida falls into his trap by accepting to strike a deal with Baron. He exchanges Ida's eyesight for better feet. Although Ida has nice feet, she immediately loses her eyesight to Baron. As Timm arrives at the hotel, he receives instructions on how to welcome guests and operate the lift. He walks with his contract and keeps reminding himself of the terms he made with Baron. Timm can just regain his smiling face if he loses a single bet, but this is nearly impossible.
Entschuldigung, kennen Sie einen Baron de Fouet?
He also dreams of asking Baron to return his smile because he's tired of winning the bets. The following day, he goes to the racing station and asks the cleaners about Baron's whereabouts. However, they ridicule him and tell him to walk away, never to return. People will stop coming for competitions and gambling once they realize there's someone who is automatically going to win all the bets. And soon, they will run out of business. He also searches for Baron's contact and address in the hotel's directories, but he's told Baron doesn't exist. He asks Kreshimir, but he has no idea who Baron is. He has never heard of a name like that. He bets with Kreshimir about Baron visiting the hotel the following day, and the hotel's reception receives a call about Baron's plan to visit them. The hotel is prepared with lots of food to feast on, ready for Baron's reception. The following day, Baron arrives, escorted by his guards. He gets in the hotel and instructs Belial and Behemoth to watch over Timm, ensuring he doesn't leave the building. Timm confirms Baron has arrived and even opens the lift, escorting him to the special guest's room. He tells Baron he wants his smile back.
Wie geht Schmunzeln?
but Baron tells him it is almost impossible unless he loses a bet. Timm realizes Baron's eyes are no longer having an issue when he removes his sunglasses. He's having Ida's eyes. Even though Timm isn't on good terms with Ida, he remembers they have been friends since childhood. Timm finds an opportunity to bet with Kresimir, agreeing they will run out of cake and have to get it from the bakery. His bet comes true, and the cake runs out. The hotel's matron instructs him to head to the bakery and get the best cake. He intentionally wants to go to the bakery and meet Ida, bet, and ensure she gets her original eyes back. Meanwhile, Baron tells Behemoth and Belial to guard Timm, but there's a miscommunication due to a network issue. As Baron speaks over the phone, he's interrupted by some guests at the hotel and then tells them to continue eating. Belial and Behemoth misinterpret the message, thinking Baron tells them to eat before watching over Timm. As they focus on feasting, Timm gets an opportunity to leave the hotel in a taxi and arrives at the bakery.
Oben. Du, das wird alles eine neue Stiftung.
He heads straight to Ida's room and finds her having a severe eye infection she acquired after selling her soul to Baron. Ida blames Timm for betraying their friendship, but Timm has no time for this. They strike a deal, betting that Ida will regain her normal eyesight. Meanwhile, Baron is giving a speech in the hotel, telling the guests how he will use laughter to bring evil upon humanity. He forces everyone to laugh, then the lights go off, and darkness occupies the entire environment. Baron knows something is wrong. Coincidentally, this is when Timm bets with Ida, helping her regain normal sight. Baron groans in pain as he regains his yellowish eyes. Everyone in the hotel looks at him in awe as he puts on his black glasses. Ida regains her eyesight and sees well, knowing how much Timm still cares for her. The weather turns normal as Baron leaves the hotel, reprimanding Belial and Behemoth for failing him.
Erst kommt das Essen, dann kommt die Arbeitsmoral.
Timm returns to the hotel with the cake long after the guests have left. Kresimir realizes Timm's secret but notices Timm is always sad. He asks Timm what he did to get such special abilities, but Timm is unwilling to discuss it. He tells Timm he really wants to help him and realizes he needs to make a bet that will make Timm lose. After thinking about it, he comes up with an idea. Timm is a very young boy and there's no way he can become the richest man in the world. Therefore, he bets Timm to become the richest person in the world. Thinking he has succeeded, Timm's sad face remains, and the richest man in the world dies instantly, with Timm occupying his position. That night, policemen relocate Timm from the hotel, demanding he has become the richest man in the world and deserves to be protected. At his young age, Timm doesn't fully understand what's happening. His life shifts from being an orphan to living in a castle, protected by security guards and dining like a king. He's given a guardian who will care for him for the next 6 years, but he doesn't know who the guardian is. Timm wakes up only to realize that Baron has used his demonic powers and shifted himself to be Timm's guardian. Timm doesn't care about the luxurious life. He just wants his smile back. At the snap of his fingers, Baron restores Timm's smile. Next, he snaps his fingers again, filling the entire room with the press media. They both take photos. He sends the press away, snaps the fingers, and takes away the smile again. Baron shows Timm how he will use his smile to make people suffer by paying him for their resources, including water and other economic assets worldwide. He shows him his office full of employees, whom he calls demons. Through his employees, he's able to cause massive suffering, including disease outbreaks, accidents, fire outbreaks, and wars around the world.
Nach neuen, tollen Geschäftsmöglichkeiten auf
Baron's top sellers are religious wars and catastrophes. He can cause fire, storms, and earthquakes by pressing a button. Once the plague occurs, he comes in, smiling tenderly and pretending to save lives. He sells medicine, clothes, toys, and other forms of aid to ease the suffering by giving them to poor children. Meanwhile, the photographer takes a photo of him laughing with the kids, using using Tim's smile to advertise himself by gaining recognition from world leaders. After listening to Baron's plan, Timm realizes that Baron is not a human being. He's a demon who mimics everything and rejoices at the suffering of humanity. He wants to use the smile and gain more power to rule the whole universe. Out of anger, the demon teleports from the castle to its office, proving itself to Timm. The suffering has already started, and Baron the demon has already struck Kreshimir with a severe fever.
Sie wären gern eine. Sie machen alles nach.
Kreshimir has been down for days and he's almost dying at the hotel. Next, it targets Timm's relatives. He summons Lydia and Irvin into the castle as he gets stronger and stronger. Under Baron's influence, he bets his stepmother and stepbrother to be attacked by bees, trips down the stairs and fall. He tries to separate Timm from his friends and family. He tells Timm Kreshimir isn't doing well and he should never allow his family members into the castle again, even if they come seeking help. As for Ida, if he wants her to stay healthy and not go blind or even die, then Timm has to ensure she never sees him again. Timm has lost the better part of his soul by making many bets, but there's still part of humanity in him. He fails to make another bet with Baron, who wants to bet for lightning to strike Lydia and Ida. Baron takes Timm to another room, showing him how to control the world. The room is full of all the infrastructural aspects of the planet, which Baron has been observing.
Die Fenster leuchten ja richtig.
Vorsicht.
Ida visits Timm in the castle, but he's not interested in her anymore. However, Timm asks her for a favor. They bet for Kreshimir, who gets well and recovers from the infection caused by Baron. Realizing Timm's cruelty, Ida leaves the castle crying on her way home. Baron laughs at other people's pain, and that's how he gains satisfaction. He's planning to go on a trip with Timm, but before this trip, he makes Timm famous and wants everyone to love him. Therefore, Baron instructs his men to put up posters for the Timm Thaler Cup, an event meant to raise gambling money and support orphans through donations. Since the event is just in a week, Ida looks for Kreshimir, and both plan to attend, attempting to help their friend regain his smile. Many people attend the event, with Baron and Timm inside their luxurious vehicle. Timm is wearing funny glasses similar to Baron's and doesn't even recognize his stepfamily as they call and wave to him.
Meine Damen und Herren, ist hier!
Baron is insecure because this is a very critical moment for him. Should Timm escape and meet Ida, they can easily break the agreement and make him regain his smile. So he instructs Belial and Behemoth to watch over Timm, ensuring nobody comes closer to him. Kreshimir and Ida plead to speak to Timm, and they agree to give them a chance to talk as Baron gives his speech. They hide them inside the bathroom areas, where Ida talks to Timm, telling him to bet on something impossible. He bets for Timm to laugh, which is against the contract, and he will automatically lose. Baron has a strange feeling, and darkness covers the entire place. Thick clouds suddenly develop, and it starts raining. He loses concentration while giving the speech, and everyone runs home to save their lives. The entire event becomes a mess, as Baron transforms into his evil, demonic nature. He calls Timm to accompany him home, but Ida bets quickly before Baron reaches them. The bet breaks the contract, and Baron loses and turns to a thick black cloud.
Das war einer der besten.
Then vanishes in thin air. Timm regains his smile, and everyone except for Baron turns back to normal. Baron assumes the face of a very old man, losing everything he has ever bought from anyone by exchanging their soul. He displays his true, ugly, and wrinkled face. Timm joins with Ida, living a happy life and leaving behind the luxurious belongings the Baron has offered them. Out of anger, he turns Belial and Behemoth into hamsters, then vanishes. Out of sympathy, Ida takes home Belial and Behemoth in their hamster form and then tames them. As he wins, Timm realizes that happiness comes from relationships and honesty, not material possessions. The fall of Baron shows him that his greed and evil led only to emptiness. But do you believe that seeking wealth can sometimes cause us to lose sight of the things that truly matter to us?